Greetings. Welcome to yesterlore. This is yesterlore number 11, I believe. My numbers are not off. This is Old English Rune Poem, Part 3. If you missed the last two sessions of the rune poem, definitely go back and watch those. They are on YouTube, which is linked on Twitch. They are in the yesterlore playlist, but they are also in a new playlist I made just called Rune Poetry. That is where the remainder of these videos will also be saved, in addition to the yesterlore playlist. And after we finish the Old English rune poem, we will be moving on to other rune poems. So that will be a hefty playlist after we're all through with the rune poems. So, I was a little late today, and I also was absent last week. I got sick the last couple weeks, so I took a break. But we're back to rune poetry, Old English rune poetry, to begin. And we left off at this stanza, the one that goes with the rune labeled is, which is ice. Simply the word ice in Old English. So we're going to move on to the next rune poem. And we're going to go ahead and read it in Old English. And then I'm going to explain some words as we go. And then we're going to go ahead and translate and talk about what the rune name means. Now, as a reminder, before we do that, I'm going to preface and say we don't know if the rune names given with these here were in the original manuscript, because we do not have the original manuscript. We are left with the copy of this book that copied it, this book by George Hicks. We are here in the book. We don't know if these runes plus the name were in the manuscript he copied this from, or if he supplied the name based on the alliteration in the line. You need it to alliterate with the rest of the line, and what makes sense to fill in the blank there for what the rest of the stanza means. That's kind of what we are doing as we're reading this and kind of treating these almost like riddles to get the name of the rune. If the names were missing in the original rune poem, a manuscript that we no longer have because it burnt in a fire. For more on that, see part 1 of the rune poetry. It was possible that they were just the rune in the manuscript, as we know from other manuscripts, particularly Icelandic ones, but also some Old English ones. They would occasionally use a rune in place of a name, the name of the rune. So especially the word in Old Norse, maður, which means man, they would use the rune, which is called maður, to be basically an abbreviation for the word man. And there are some other examples of that. So it's possible that the original manuscript did a similar thing, where it was just the rune and then the rest of the line, but if you knew the name of the rune, you would read it, and it would be a complete, line of poetry. If you didn't know the name, though, the rest of the stanza is basically a riddle that gives you the answer if you know the answer to the riddle. If it was a riddle. But it's possible that they actually had it written out. Now, we are pretty confident in these names, at least most of them, because they are corroborated in, at least with the cognate ones, they're corroborated in Old Norse, and we also have some other witnesses to the names. There's some documents that just list them as an alphabet, and names are given there that closely correspond with some spelling variations, of course. And there's also the Gothic alphabet, which has names that are often cognate, like the letters of the Gothic alphabet are often cognate to the names of the runes in the rune poems. So we have a few pieces of evidence to be able to figure out what these runes were named, aside from just the poem. So we're not just going off the poem. But we still don't know if this all this sidebar information over here was in the original manuscript. That is unknown. I did not mean to zoom in like that. It's not letting me zoom out. There we go. It's just lagging a bit. So we are here where it says Whoa. Yeah, it is lagging quite a bit. We are here where it says yer. Put my cursor there. Yer here. And we're going to read that, but we're going to read it on this Google Doc that I made. That is a little bit easier to read because it's typed out. So I'll read it in Old English, and then we'll break it down and then translate. Oh, I see someone is in the chat. No one said hello yet. Hello! Welcome to yesterlore. So we are about to read the first for today, yer, here. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. Yer bith gumena hicht thone god lateth. Hali helvenes kynning. Rusan sillan. Beorchte bleda beornum anthervum. So, we're skipping the name of the rune because that's what we're going to do last. We're going to talk about that meaning, but we're going to see what we can pick up from the rest of the stanza. So, because we don't know if this was in the original manuscript, so we're going to pretend we don't see it there. So, whatever this is, bith gumena hicht. Gumena hicht. Gumena is, we've seen this word a few times in the prior stanzas, I think. It is the genitive plural of guma, which means man. So it's of men, or among men, or men's apostrophe after the S. Actually, I think the apostrophe goes before the S in that word. I think it depends on the style guide. Anyways, it's hicht of men, and hicht is hope. So whatever this is the hope of men, men's hope. Thone, and actually let's look at what it says here in the book. It says thon. Okay, I think my brain auto-corrected this to thone. It says thon, and I think this should be thon. I think maybe the manuscript had a line over this. I'm not sure, I can't prove that, but I personally would have thona here grammatically. Can't remember how to do a macron. Oh. Is there no way to do a macron? I know there's a way to do a macron. No. There is a way to do a macron, I'm just not remembering it. Imagine a macron over this, a line over the N. That's possible. I feel like I might have trusted Hicks to include that, though. In either case, we could read it as just thon, but this should be the word thone, I think, here, which means when, in this context. So, it's the hope of men when God lateth. When God lateth. And lateth means it's basically letteth, allows, lets. So, this is the hope of men when God allows. Or a God allows, however you want to interpret that. Hali helvenes kynning. The holy heaven's king. The king of holy heaven, basically. Holy, Hali, helvenes, heavens, kynning, king. So yeah, likely this is the Christian God that's being referred to here, especially considering the late state of the Old English spelling here. This is probably a late Old English text. Definitely going to be Christian scribes, at least, copying this, even if the original poem was not Christian. We don't have the original. We don't even have the manuscript that we're reading from now. We just have someone's copy of it. So, lots of telephone. But yeah, definitely the Christian God being referred to here, at least in the text we're reading. Hali helvenes kynning, rusan sillan. Beorchte bleda beornum anthervum. So, Hrusan is, Hruza is the earth. It's one of the many words for the earth or the ground. Hruza. And this is just, I think, probably the accusative, because God is allowing. God, the Holy Heaven's King, allows Hrusan sillan beorchte bleda beornum anthervum. Sillan is to give. There is the verb yevan in Old English, which is the closest to the ancestor of the modern English word give, although it would be yiv, or yive or something like that. If it comes straight from Old English, there's some influence from Old Norse with that g in give. But sillan is kind of a synonym of give. It's often used in poetry instead of yevan. It's related to the word sell in modern English, but it doesn't have a necessary monetary connotation in Old English. It just means to give forth, to share, sillan. And sillan, what is the earth giving? So yer is the hope of men when God, Holy Heaven's King, allows the earth to give forth beorð bleda. So bleda here is the keyword here. Blad, usually it's blad in more standard West Saxon. This is late, and there's some other dialectal influence we can see in here. We've talked about that a bit before. It means sort of prosperity, wealth, riches, fruits. Probably here it's fruits because it's the earth. But it could also be riches because we've got beorðta here. Beorðta is just a plural adjective. Beorð is bright. So bright riches, bright fruits. It's plural here, bleda. I'm pretty sure it's plural here because the adjective is telling me it's probably plural. Actually, this could be an accusative singular, but this A is really most likely plural here. So, Hrúsan sillan beorðta bleda. The earth to sell, to give bright fruits, bright profits. Beornum an tharvum. Beornum, that's beorn, is, and I think we had this before already as well, it's a noble, someone who's a noble. Might be related to the word baron. It might also be related to the word bjorn in Old Norse, which means bear. But there's some problems with it being, it looks very closely like it could be related to the word for bear in Old Norse, but the etymology is really unclear because it never means bear. In Old English, it always means like a noble, and it's probably more closely related to the word baron, B-A-R-O-N, like a noble, and it might just come from a different root, but formally appear homophonous, like sounds the same as if it were the word bear. There's a lot of different theories about this word, but it clearly means noble here, and in pretty much every text that it shows up in. So nobles, and it's in the dative plural with this here. So it's two nobles, and tharvum. Tharvum, this is a similar dative plural, two, multiple. Now tharv means needy. It's a adjective, but you can use it as a noun to mean the needy here. Needy or in need, poor. So with this sort of and here, it's kind of like the wealthy and the needy, the rich and the poor, the nobles and the ones in need. So yer, this thing, is a hope, is the hope of men when God, Holy Heaven's King, lets the earth give bright fruits to nobles and to the needy. If anyone is in the chat and is interested in guessing what this word yer means here, yer, feel free. I'm going to wait a couple moments for that. I think 15 seconds-ish. I'm probably not going to keep to that. I tend not to keep to that because I'm not good at counting in my head while also talking. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these words here. Now this word yad, I keep pronouncing it yad because usually it is spelled yad, G-E-A-R. It's spelled G-E-R here. It's a dialect thing. Depends on the dialect. Any other comments I have on this stanza? Not exactly. So I'm going to read it through in Old English one more time, and then in Modern English one more time, and then I'll reveal the answer. So, Jer bith gumena hicht von God lateth. Hali helvenis kinning, rusan sillan, beorte bleda, bernum an tharvum. So, the answer for Yer, or Yar, is year. The year. Y-E-A-R. You can kind of see the Y in Yar, especially if it's spelled G-E-A-R. Not much of a change to modern English, actually. So let's plug that into the meanings that we've translated so far. The year is the hope of men when God, Holy Heaven's King, allows the earth to give forth or to offer bright fruits for the wealthy and the needy, for the nobles and the needy. So the year is the hope of men. That is kind of interesting. The sort of the cycle of the year, the changing of the seasons, is a hope for men when God allows the earth to offer fruits to everyone. When it's a good year, it's hopeful. Men are hopeful of the year when the earth bears fruit. So this stanza seems to be about sort of the hope that comes with the cycles of the year. You know, this might be a horrible year, but maybe next year will be better. And that's kind of how people had to think. If it was a particularly bad year, you just had to kind of hope the next year would be better. So we're going to go ahead and go on to the next stanza. The next stanza, I will read in Old English, we'll skip over the name, and we'll just look at the rest of the Old English and translate it, and then we will go ahead and try to guess the name, or the meaning of the name of the rune. So, Eoch bith utan unsmede treo, herd husan fast, hyrde fires, Wurtrumun unruredet, vinan on ethla. Okay. So, Eoch, whatever that is, bith utan unsmede treo. So the bith is. We've had that quite a few times. Now, utan, this ut is where we get the word out from. So utan is like on the outside, without. So it is on the outside. It is unsmede treo. I think I should have stressed that here because that's what alliterates. Eoch bith utan unsmede treo. Smede is related to the word smooth. It's where we get smooth. Unsmede, as you could probably guess, is unsmooth. So it's rough. So whatever this is on the outside, it's rough. Okay. Herd hrusan fast, hyrde fires. Oh, I skipped treo here. Treo is just the word tree. It's where we get the word tree from. Treo. So whatever this is an unsmooth tree on the outside. Okay, that kind of narrows what this could be. Herd husan fast, hyrde fires. So here what we have is herd, which is the word hard. Hrusan fast. Now hrusan we just had in the last stanza. Hrusan is the earth. Here it is probably, I think, dative. And fast is another adjective. Fast means fast. Not fast as in quick. It's an older meaning of fast as in firm. If you hold fast to something, fastly to something, it's firm. So if something is fast in Old English, it's firm. It's holding on tight. So hrusan fast is like sort of fast to the earth. It's hard and firm in the earth or firm to the earth or something like that. So it's a rough-barked tree. It's firm in the earth. It might not be a tree literally, but it's being compared at least to a tree. It's firm in the earth. It's hard. Hirde fyres. Now this is an interesting thing to see here, because this is actually, it almost looks like an example of, it might actually be an example of a formula that exists. We've talked about a couple formulas so far. We talked about the one with the children of some generic word for men, and we've also talked about just each of men with huilch or hua or yehua or yehuilch or something like that, or aich, aihuilch, with a genitive plural. Now here what we have is an example, I think this is an example of it, a genitive singular, it could also be a genitive plural in this formula, with the word hirde. Now a hirde is a herdsman, it's the herd in shepherd, sheep herd, herd of sheep. Not a herd as in a group, but the herder, the one who herds or watches over the sheep. Now in this formula, it's a way of setting up a kenning. Now, I think I might have explained kennings before, but if I haven't, I will make sure to do that in the next video. I don't think I can do that right now, but definitely look it up in the meantime if you're curious about a kenning. I think I have mentioned it in a video before. But basically, hirda, herdsman, and we have a word in the genitive. So it's like the herdsman of something. And what it's saying isn't that it's the literal herdsman, but it's basically saying it's like the guardian of whatever thing. So often we see it with a word, another situation where we have like a generic word for people after it, or men. So it'll be like hirda, I'm trying to think of a good example. Hirda folkes. Hirda folkes. Or folches, I think it depends on the dialect. Hirda folkes, the herdsman of the people is what that would be. And that's a way of saying like king or something like that. I can't think of any other good examples off the top of my head of this formula. I've seen them a million times. I'm just not remembering it on the spot. But what this means is herdsman of flame. Fyr is fire. That's where we get the word fire from, fyr. And so fyres is fires. So it's the fire's herdsman, the herdsman of fire, or the guardian of flame. So this thing is an unsmooth tree on the outside, hard and fast to the earth, the herdsman of flame, or the guardian of flame. Now we have virtrumun under vreðid. Virtrumun under vreðid. Now, virtrumun, this spelling is, I've seen it in other places before, at least of the T here, but there could, etymologically, I think there should be two T's here, because it's virtrumun. Virtruma is the word here. Virt is the word, just a generic word for root. It could also be a herb, even a plant in general can be referred to as virt, but it is related to the word root. If you've ever had something like mugwort or St. John's wort or something, that is the word virt here. It's a plant or an herb, or it comes from the word for root. Root, by the way, is a cognate. It comes from Old Norse, rot, but originally it was rot in Proto-Germanic. If we go way back, rots was the nominative, and then like words like wurtis and wurtam and stuff were the other cases where the U shows up, and this becomes a Y in Old English. So that's why we have both wort and root in English from the same root word. But yeah, wurt, and then truma is a support. Truma is a support. So virtrumun, this is, I think, a dative plural being used as an instrumental, probably. This typically would be but we've already seen a few examples in this poem where they're using a sort of later form where you end with an N instead of with an M. I think there's another one in this stanza, even in this line. But virtrumun, so that would be like by the root support. The supporting roots, the deep roots. And then we have this word under vreðid, and this is kind of saying the same thing in on the verb half of this half line, underredet means supported, like held up from underneath. So held up from underneath by its roots, by its deep roots, the root support. Supported by its root supports, basically. Supported by its roots. That kind of goes with what we were just saying about rune fast. Fast to the earth, supported by its deep roots. And we have winan on edla. Now this word winan is often amended, or like sort of edited, to just be win. Now win we already had as a rune. It was spelled wen up there, but it's win more typically. It means joy. And so people often amend this to be win so that it fits better grammatically as a noun here. So it's like a joy, win on edla. Now edla is the dative of edel. Edel is basically an estate where people live, a homestead. We're also going to see it's one of the runes. So I've actually spoiled the meaning of that rune because we already have it here in this stanza. Edel means a homestead or an estate. So people will often amend this to say a joy on the estate. Whatever this thing is, it's a joy on the estate. Now, some people, though, have argued we shouldn't change it. And the argument is that this should actually be read as another dative, a late form of the dative that ends with an N instead of a UM. And that is doable, or we could maybe say it's a weird variant of a weak form, which would also, I think, have an AN here in the dative. So either way, read it as either a late or a weird dative of the adjective, some kind of adjective, or as the noun in the dative treated like an adverb. We've talked about that in a few other places where you put something in the dative to be treated like an adverb. So like in the thing or on the thing becomes thingly, basically. So how this would be read then is joyfully, like enjoy on the homestead or enjoy on the estate. So it's supported joyfully on the estate. I think the stanza overall makes sense either way, whichever way you read it. Now, the other argument for keeping it the same way and not amending it is that it kind of works better metrically. Like it feels more like a full half line. Like win on edla can be valid depending on how you parse, like how you want to break up the syllables in the half line. You can make it work, but win on edla is a lot more simple to fit as a half line. We haven't gone too much into the whole meter of a literature verse yet in yesterlore. If people are interested in that, I can do a whole deep dive into that because it's really interesting and there are a lot of different theories about it. But in any case, that is another argument why people have argued to keep that on here. It just kind of is more metrically elegant, even if meaning-wise it's a little weird to say joyfully on the estate. I think it's fine either way. That's why I kind of left it here, but we could choose to remove it if we wanted to. So let me read through the whole stanza in Old English again, and then in Modern English, and then we'll talk about the meaning of this rune. So, Eoch byth utan unsmede treu, herd husan fast, hyrde fyres, wirtrumon under vredet, winan on edla. Edla, sorry, it's a long E. So, this word is an unsmooth tree on the outside, hard and fast in the earth, guardian of flame, supported by its deep roots, joyfully on the estate. So what this word here means, I'm going to reveal it because it doesn't seem like anyone wants to guess this one, is this word eoch means yew, Y-E-W-U, like the plant. And I should have actually prepared a link to this. I did not. But I wanted to have a link of an image. If you haven't seen yew, I'm going to try to send one to myself so that I can open this on stream. Would like to look at a yew tree. Actually, I'm going to see if I can open a new window. I could just open a new window and then move it into this one. Let's see. Come on. OBS is really slowing down my computer, so I said open a new window, not a new tab. What the heck? I guess OBS is really like making it lag so as to make me click on the wrong thing. Okay, I got a new window open. Cool. And the scientific name is Taxus baccata. I don't think all yews are Taxus baccata. That might be the case, though. Yeah, there are other trees that are called yew. So this species I just mentioned is often called the common yew or the English yew. Trying to find a good picture. Most of them are zoomed in on like the berry of it. Trying to find a good picture that's like just the tree. Why is it so tiny? That's okay. We'll live. Okay. This is the best picture I can find, and it's very small. That's fine. Okay, I can just zoom in. So this is a yew tree. You can see it. It's a very rough bark on the outside. It's kind of almost like there's pipes of smaller tree going up it. But it's very firm in the ground. And it's a guardian of flame. It's just a very firm tree. So it's just emphasizing, this stanza seems to be emphasizing sort of the firmness and the sort of enduring nature of this tree. So I really like this stanza. I like the stanzas that are just about things in nature. We had ice before. Now we've had a tree. We've had hail. I'm trying to think of other sort of nature-y things. We've had thorn. Had aurochs. So now we have the yew tree. Okay, I think we can do one more, but we'll have to do it quickly because I don't have much time left. I did start late though, so it'll be fine to go over a little bit in time. So, last one for today, and this one is fun because it's kind of still a mystery. We're not going to guess this one because people still don't know how to translate it. However, I just realized that I made a typo in here. Forgot the R here. This should be peorð. No. There we go. Okay. Alright, I'm going to read it through in Old English real quick, and then we will look at it in modern English, what parts we can get, and then I will kind of explain the mystery around this word. So, peorð bydd symbla playa, an llechtir ulankum, thar wian sitath, on beorsela blida at samna. So, the first part, peorð bydd symbla plega. Peorð bydd symbla plega. Peorð is, and I have this word symbla. Symbla means always. Always and forever. Symbla. Always. Plega. Plega means a game or a sport. It's something that you play, and it's related to the word play. It's a play, like a game. or a sport. Plega. An hlechter ulankum. Hlechter is laughter. It's often hlechter. I'm trying to see if I think I might have actually missed something here. No, I didn't. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking I was missing something. Okay. Hlechter ulankum. Hlechter is laughter. This here is why we have a GH in laughter. The first H in laughter goes away, though. We tend to get rid of H's at the beginning of words in modern English. Old English ones tend to go away, is what I mean there. Hlechter, laughter, ulankum. Ulank means proud. Ulank. This is a W here. Remember, this win is a W. So ulank is proud. And so this is a dative plural. And we're in a situation where we're using an adjective like a noun again. So it's the proud, like proud people, proud ones. So it's laughter for the proud. Thar wian sitath on beorsela blida at somna. Thar, this is another way of writing thar in more sort of standard West Saxon. They would usually say thar, but thar also works. It means where. It also means there, but here it's a forgetting the word. It's late and I'm tired. The word is relative pronoun. There we go. Where wian sitath. Wia, a wiga is a warrior. Wiga. And so this is plural. Wigan, warriors. Sitath, sit. Where warriors sit. On beorsela. Now, beor is beer. The drink, beer. Beor. And sela is a hall. And oftentimes people will get rid of this space here and just have it be a compound. Because I think there might be another example of this compound somewhere else in the corpus. I'm not sure if I remember. But it would make sense, beorsela, for a beer hall. Just a way of saying the hall where people hang out, where warriors hang out. So where warriors sit in the beer hall, blida at somna. Blida is where I get the word blithe. It's like happily, merrily. Here it's an adverb because of this e here, I think. It could also be an adjective, blithe, plural, because the plural adjective would, I think, also be with an e here. So it could be blithely or merrily in the hall. I like to translate it as merrily because this next word is at somna. And at somna means together. At somna. And it's spaced here, as compounds are often spaced in Old English, but we tend to space them when we kind of standardize the spelling, normalize it. So I like to translate it as merrily together, or sit together merrily, or sit together merry in the beer hall. So let me read the whole thing together. Peorð is always a game, a fun thing, a sport, and laughter to the proud, or amusement, we could say. We don't have to be so literal with laughter, just something fun. So peorð is always a game and amusement to the proud, where warriors sit together blithely, merrily in the beer hall. So the issue we have with this stanza is that we don't know what peorð means. We don't really have an instance of it outside of this poem. There appears to be a cognate to it in the Gothic alphabet. I think the letter P in Gothic is perthra. P-A-R. P-A-I-R. Thorn, R-A, is how we typically romanize that Gothic word, perthra. And it would be cognate to peorð if there were an R after it, peorð, like peorð or something like that. Could just be variants of an original word. So people tend to reconstruct the Proto-Germanic. This is pertho or perthro, depending on whether they want to lean Gothic words or Old English words. There really isn't a cognate that we can find in Old Norse at all. There isn't an equivalent letter P in the runic alphabets, the younger Futhark alphabets in Scandinavia, and we'll see that when we get to the Norwegian and Icelandic rune poems. So we're kind of stuck with this, where we don't know what this word means. Now, some people, based on the shape of it and sort of the cognate in Gothic, have tried to piece together a meaning of it, together with the meaning that seems to be implied by this stanza here. It kind of looks like it might be related to the word pear, like the fruit. And it's possible that this refers to like a pear wood toy or sort of tool for a game, or maybe like a game piece or something. If like there's like chess-like game that was being played with pieces made from pear wood. I think we do have some artifacts made of pear wood. I'm not don't quote me on that. I need to check the archaeology on that. But I think I've read something on that. I will not make that statement definitively. If I find something, I'll mention it in the next stream. But that is a theory that's been put forward, that this refers to like a game box or a game piece that happens to be made of pear wood. So like this word that's etymologically related to the word pear refers to a pear wood game piece. And that would kind of make sense with the stanza. So like this piece of a game, imagine if it's like a pawn in chess or something like that. If it meant something like that, I'm not sure they would have had chess exactly. I don't think, if this does go back to early Anglo-Saxon England, this rune poem, it's not likely that chess would have made it up to England by that point. I say up, made it to English at that point in history. I'm not sure about that, given just where chess spread from. I think later in the Middle Ages they had chess playable in England, but not at this period, I think. So we're just unsure what this word means, and we have to be okay with that. So that is what this stanza probably means here. Something, whatever this word was, it's something that has to do with the game. We can't be sure what. Might be a pear-wood thing, might have nothing at all to do with that. But that's what we're left with. Now, there is one other idea that I've seen put forward for this rune, and it's based on nothing but the shape. And I will say, biased, I'm not a fan of this theory, but some people have tried to look at the shape of this and say it has something to do with the womb, or something like that. I don't buy it. I think that's very strange. There's nothing in the poem to me that suggests that, and there's nothing etymologically that seems to suggest that, and it just doesn't make sense with the stanza. It's a game, it's an amusement in the beer hall. I don't want to think that has anything to do with that, nor does it just make any etymological sense. We just don't know what this word means, and I think the pear wood box, I buy it, but we can't know for sure. I think that would be a good solution if we were able to find out that it were true, but we just don't know. So we are going to stop there. That is going to be the last stanza that we read. So we will pick up next time with peorð, which is a fun one to start with because this one is also very interesting in terms of issues with interpreting. Although we do have a little bit better of an idea with this one than we do with peorð. So we will start there next time. Thank you for those who have watched this series and who are able to be present tonight, and anyone who's watching in the future, thank you for looking back and watching this. I've been having fun with the rune poems. It was a shame that I had to miss last week, but I'm excited to keep going with this, and I hope you all have a good rest of your whatever time it is for you, your times of night, evening, day, whatever it may be. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.